Welcome back to the It's Hard to Explain podcast. How's it going, boys?
Fucking horrible.
Trump got shot at.
Yeah, that happened.
And I feel like
It has been a crazy week.
I was going to say a lot of people have theorized that it was an inside job, which is, I mean, someone else died too, so I really don't think it was an inside job. But I think it's crazy because I saw a post.
I'm going to refrain from inputting.
I saw a post on Twitter of someone basically put someone's Facebook post, and it was a super liberal lady that was like, at least the shooter got one of them. You know, they should have got Trump. And I was like, Jesus Christ.
See, you said it was Twitter?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's your first problem. That's just
Twitter's just a bloodbath.
No, someone took a woman's post from Facebook and uploaded it to Twitter so people could see it. And it was some liberal lady that was like, thank God someone tried to make an attempt. At least they got one of them, even though it wasn't the president. It's like, that's not funny. Someone died.
That's not a good sign either. That's someone being portrayed as like the enemy when you're really talking about your fellow countrymen.
Yeah, it's like regardless of what your political belief is, it's still tragic that someone died protecting their family because of that. That's not funny.
I don't know.
It's wild.
But that's a good palate
Good segue,
wetter
yeah.
for what we're covering today.
I was thinking about that the other day. I was like, how can we segue this? And I was like, I've got an idea.
So today we're talking about conspiracy theories. Yippee!
This
Ethan
one's-
specifically has been
Chomping
really
at the
excited to
bit.
do this
I
one,
have,
and this has
I
been
have.
something we've been trying to do for the past like
Two and
month,
a
2
half
months.
weeks. Yeah.
It's been like
It's been a while.
it's been a while,
Shit
but we're
just
finally doing
keeps
it.
coming up.
So yeah, just things kept coming up, but we're doing it now.
Life just kept happening, but now we finally have the time.
In the famous words of Oliver Tree, life goes on.
Every time I think of that, I cannot get the Spider-Man and Doc Ock video out of my head.
Yeah. So with each of these, we each went and we researched 3 theories that we particularly liked. And though I did a lot of research and I wrote a lot of stuff down, I'm not going to read it word for word because then we'd be here for like 6 hours. But, you know,
I'm okay with that.
we are gonna give each theory its time, you know. But if you guys want us to delve deeper into any one of these theories, let us know.
because I feel like they're all going to be pretty interesting.
Yeah, I agree. Like Kagan said, we all have 3, and we're just gonna go around, kind of skip around and present.
Yeah. Like originally I had the idea of 5 apiece, and then, you know, we kind of
That'd be-
had
yeah.
that idea of like,
That'd be
okay,
too much.
well, we're talking about... Good Lord, bless your soul, young man.
Bless you.
I did that on purpose.
But originally I
You
had
got
the idea...
one. That's it.
Yep. I had the
Shut
idea...
up,
One
Mom.
bodily function noise.
No.
But yeah, originally I was thinking the idea, because usually when we do something like this, we have 5 apiece.
Yeah.
And then, you know, we kind of threw that out there, and it's like, let's do 3 apiece, because conspiracy theories take considerably longer to talk about, because there's so many different angles and stories on what we're trying to talk about.
Right.
And some can have so many moving parts and so many, like, what's the word, breaks in the case where, like, new evidence comes up and they're like, well, they thought this happened,
Like
but
your case
actually,
reopens.
20 years later, they found out that it was actually a moose track that instead of, like, this thing that they thought it was.
So, I mean, we'll be detailed with these theories, but we're not going to go down a huge rabbit hole, or at least we don't plan to, and give, like, every single little detail.
I was gonna say, I think we're going to go down a couple rabbit holes
Yeah.
eventually. Because
It's probably not
conspiracy
gonna be
theories, this is, like,
avoidable.
the topic to go down rabbit holes
But
of.
what I'm talking about is we're not going to give you
Every
everything
minute
from the
detail.
beginning to end. We're just going to kind of go through them and give you the summary, the short and sweet.
We're going to, like, kind
and
of
then
take a peek down the rabbit
Yeah.
hole, but we're not going to actually, like, you know,
dive
fall
in.
down it.
Right. And, I mean, if we end up, you know, going on some side tangents about these theories, that's fine, too.
Sorry.
Wow.
No, you fucking didn't.
I'm sorry.
Professional over here.
You fucking didn't.
So before we get started, a couple of things. We're going to do our catch up and see what we've been up to.
I prefer mustard.
And also, along with the theories, we have some thought experiments. And Adam, what did you say earlier? Thought experiments and...
So the way I did it was I have one that was like genuine, serious
Right.
conspiracy theory, which That one these days, once I get to and explain it, it'll be kind of easier to understand. But these days, it's less of a conspiracy theory, and a lot of people actually believe the conspiracy is what's true.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, that's just like the generally accepted thing now. And then one of them is more of like you said, an interesting thought experiment that's also a conspiracy, like theory.
Yeah.
And then the last one is just kind of, it is a conspiracy, but it's more like on the lighter side of things. Like it's not
Gotcha.
as serious.
Gotcha,
Alright.
gotcha. Anything new happen with you boys before we get started? Anything you want to talk
shit.
about? Jack shit.
We got a new employee at work. His name's Adam.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Another one.
Yeah.
Another
What
one.
was his last name?
I won't say that.
What a weird thing to say.
Does it start with an A?
No.
Okay.
It starts
So
with
you
an
cannot
S.
say that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so his initials are Adult Swim.
Okay.
But,
Okay, that's,
you go.
That's a good comparison.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've been trying to come up with like things to call him since so I'm Adam Senior and he's Junior. And
Right.
They either call him Junior or
To a-
number 2.
To
or,
avoid
like,
confusion.
one-
They
one-
call him Mini Me.
At one point, my boss was like, "Hey, second place, get over here."
That's pretty funny. You got to call him Mini Me.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Except
he
he's
smaller
like,
than you?
except he's like 8 inches taller than me.
Oh, shit.
Oh, it doesn't
You're already
matter.
tall, dude.
In
I
terms
was here
of
first.
seniority,
Yeah,
just be
dude's
like,
taller,
True.
Dude's taller than Ethan. Like, dude's a unit.
you're
Ethan
like,
is a giant among men, dude.
it's like you may be bigger
Yeah,
than
Ethan,
me,
you're
but
what,
you're
like 6'3".
my
I'm
Mini Me.
6'3".
Yeah, Ethan's 6'3". This dude's probably like 6'7", 6'8".
Jesus Christ.
and there really is a divide over here, Kagan. Short people over here, tall people on that side.
Tall.
How
Yeah.
tall are you?
Yes, you are.
5'11".
That's
like-
pretty
Okay,
tall.
compared to
No,
us,
no,
you, Alston, and
no.
Ethan are like, we have to look up to you when we talk to
You're
you.
like, hey, don't look down on me. I'm your boss.
Yeah,
We're
yeah.
5'6" and 5'7". Well, you're 5'8". I'm 5'7".
Yep.
Yeah. So it's just pain.
Life is hard.
Life is hard. I can't reach the top shelf, and I get sad.
Anything new for you, Kagan?
Not really. I mean,
I did realize we never got to talk about your trip to, I think, San Diego because that episode didn't make it. But do you have any other trips planned?
no, I am going to be in a magazine.
Oh, that's something. Tell us about it. Tell us about it.
Essentially, my mom works at the college.
Kagan's going to be in the next
My mom
Hustler.
is a professor at college, and she nominated me to be part of this like article because, as you know, I work a trade, so I weld. So I'm going to be in this magazine for kids that are looking to get into the world of trades. So they sent me like a questionnaire with some questions to fill out about like how did you figure out that you wanted to do this, and I was like, well, I always kind of like just
Well, I like
building
money.
shit. Well,
I've always been a big fan of not starving to death.
Yeah, I've always been a big fan of being on that grind, but no, I've always liked working with my hands. And I've always liked just being. I like physical labor to an extent, you know. So they asked me a bunch of questions like that. They'll come to my work and take some pictures of me to put me in the magazine with like a page dedicated to me. So I thought that was pretty.
That's
cool.
exciting. Yeah.
But the lady, I feel bad for this, but the lady kept messaging me and I would just straight up ignore her or just delete her number.
My God.
Really?
Yeah, because she would send, she's like, hey, it's
Blah,
me.
blah, blah.
Yeah, and could you fill this out? And I'd look at it and then I'd just slide and delete the number. And then she texts me again and I just slide and delete the number. And then she called me and I was like, hello?
Oh.
I was like, I can't avoid this. And I said, hello? And she was like, hey, is this Kay? And I was like, yeah, maybe. What's it to you? And she explained it, and I was like, oh yeah, sorry, I've been busy. And she's like, no, I totally get it. If you're welding, you got a busy job. I'm like, yeah, that's what
That's
I've
what I
been doing.
mean.
See,
Yeah.
she caught you at a bad time. Both times she texted you, were in the middle of straight beating your shit crazy style. So you just swiped her messages
I've
away.
been going crazy, and then she sees it, and I just get out of here.
I actually
You're
have
not
something
supposed to be
similar.
here. Yeah.
So one recent development at work is that, like I said, I drive like a delivery truck for a living, and I deliver things to stores.
Yeah.
And recently, I got into a bit of a fender bender.
Oh.
I don't know if I told you all about that.
Ah.
but I-
No.
Yeah, I was in a gas station parking lot getting gas, and as I was leaving, I was pulling away from the pump, and I was there with another driver. He was a couple pumps down, and like I was waving bye to him and stuff, and I like started to pull forward and turn to the right. And as I was doing that, some dude tried to like cut between, because I was on pump 3, so there's a pump like right over here as well, and he tried to go between that pump and me to go and park in front of the gas station to go in. And as I was pulling out and he was coming through, like he didn't see me moving, I didn't see him coming, I didn't check my side mirror or anything, and like I said, I was waving by the cage. Whenever I looked back, he was there, and then just kind of like, had a fender bender.
You just touched each other.
Yeah, the front side of my bumper hit a rear quarter panel on his truck. And, it happened, and he just pulled forward into the parking spot, and I backed back up onto the pump, and, it was a whole thing.
Yeah.
Officer showed up on the scene, got information trade paperwork done and all that stuff. And there wasn't any, like, real damage. It was all cosmetic on both sides. But the officer was basically just like, this is a private parking lot, so that means it's mutual fault. You were both at fault. And I had to do... So what was happening was... our company insurance kept trying to contact me to get a statement. And I was just like, I'm busy right now. And I just kept swiping it away until eventually they just called the company and they came and got me in the back in the warehouse and was like, hey, the insurance adjuster's on the phone. You need to come up here and do like a quick questionnaire thing. And I was like, oh, okay. So I went up to one of the dude's offices and, they put him on the office phone, put it on speaker. And I just sat down and had to do a quick questionnaire and all that stuff, answer any questions and provide any information they needed.
Well, damn.
Yeah, and once it was done, like my boss was right there listening to the whole thing.
Yeah.
And once it was over, she was like, well, since the damage is closer to the rear of that guy's truck, we're accepting liability for this. And my boss piped up and was like, hang on.
wait.
The officer on the scene said it was mutual fault because it's private property. She's like, well, yeah, but, since it's closer to the rear end of his truck, we're just going to take liability and we're going to, And the boss was like, hang on. hang on. I'm going to stop you right there. But, yeah, it was a whole thing. Yeah, I'm still stressed out about it.
Nice.
This morning, those puppies at your job, Jake?
Yeah.
Me and Kayla went to go take care of those.
Oh, she told me a little bit about it. Yeah.
And her boss gave us the wrong code to enter to the security alarm. So when we opened the door, the alarm went off, and Kayla typed in the number, and it said invalid. So it just went off until we found the right number, and then we're in the back, and Kayla walks off for a little bit, and I'm like, where'd she go? And then I come out, and I see a cop there.
Yeah.
And he was taking a statement, and from what Kayla said, the cop was being super, just rude to her until I walked out. And I was like, yeah, because I walked out and he sensed my fucking aura and he started quaking in his boots. And he went, go!
All right.
Was Obama there?
We've had similar shit like that happen at the warehouse all the time.
I cannot tell you how many times at my old job the cops were called and alarmed, and they showed up on the scene, and I was the only one there, and nobody told me that we had a new alarm installed. So the first time that it happened, I was trying to get in. I have a key. I think they changed the locks or something because they had some incident. I do not remember. But I tried to get in. The alarm went off. I got in. Alarm was still going off. No one was there with me. I had to call people. No one would answer. And then the cop showed up, and I had to give him my name, my number, all that stuff. Super embarrassing because, I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm an employee there doing my job.
Yeah.
And then a cop just shows up and asks you, what are you doing here? And then you have to say, oh, I'm an employee. I just didn't know we had a new alarm. That sounds suspicious itself, man. So I was just set up for failure. And
It's
then
like
that
I've been
happened.
trying to get a hold of my boss, but
Exactly.
it's early and no one's answering.
Exactly. That is exactly what happened. And it's so frustrating and embarrassing, especially that they didn't tell me that we had a new alarm. I hate that so much, dude.
Whenever I had that fender bender, I was also trying to get a hold of my boss, and no one was
No
awake
one
yet
was-
because
yep.
it was like 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like if they're your boss, they should be awake before anyone else. That's kind of their
You would think that.
fault.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're the boss, you're supposed to be there before everyone else. That's kind of how that works.
Like, I just handled everything, and he called me back later when he did wake up, and I just outlined the situation for him. He was like, okay, well, that sucks. And then later that same day, that driver that was there with me, who was, I waved bye to him as I was leaving, he also got into a wreck.
Oh, man.
But he was completely at fault. Like, he was
Oh.
fucking, checking his maps to make sure that he didn't miss his exit. And he didn't see that traffic in front of him on the interstate slowed down, and so he wound up fucking rear-ending the fuck out of some lady.
Everyone's safe.
Oh, yeah, everyone was fine, and the damage was cosmetic for the most part.
Cool.
But, yeah, he was just completely at fault.
Well,
Yeah.
before we get started, Ethan wasn't here for the last episode, which is our Cards Against Humanity episode. How was your trip, man?
It was great.
It was great. Where'd you go?
I went to Cape Coral, Florida.
He went
Flow
to
right
Flo
in.
And
Rida's
I
house.
visited Sanibel Island. That whole area was affected by a hurricane about like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So a lot of the stores and stuff were shut down
Boarded up and shit.
and boarded up. Yeah.
So
You had a
it's
good time?
ghost
Um,
town.
The lighthouse on Sanibel Island used to have all these buildings and stuff around it, but when the storm hit, the only thing that was left standing was the lighthouse itself.
Oh,
And that
Nice.
lighthouse is at least
it's old.
almost 100 years old, probably.
Yeah.
Good shit. They
you
don't
had-
build stuff like they used to.
You had a good time though.
Yeah.
Nice.
Cape
It was a
Coral-
There
week.
was a restaurant called Cheeseburger.
It was good.
It's pretty good. It's like an old 50s diner.
Oh hell yeah, hell
Their
yeah.
fries were fucking expensive though.
Really?
Fries
The
alone.
fries, and they were sold separately from the meal.
That's
Oh.
what a scam.
Must have a
Yeah.
potato shortage.
Probably.
Famine.
But sorry, I saw something interesting on your TV.
I need to turn that
It said
off.
like hashtag Witcher for hire, and it had the Witcher thing on it, and I was like,
That could be a Witcher.
that's
my
I could be a
cousin.
Witcher.
That's the one that wants to be a guest.
Oh really? But I was gonna ask. I've been to Florida a few times, but I've never been to Cape Coral. Is it? I assume it's a coastal town. Like it's on the beach. Right?
Yeah.
Is it on the Gulf side or on the Atlantic side?
I don't know my oceans.
The Gulf of Mexico.
I don't either.
Yeah,
inside
it's on the Gulf
It's
side.
on the Gulf.
It's
Okay.
right below Tampa.
Because I've never been to the Atlantic side. Is the thing. I've been to like down there in the Gulf 3 times. The first time I went to Dauphin Island, Alabama,
Yeah.
and then the second time I was at Pensacola Beach in Florida.
That place is good.
Yes, and then the third time was at Panama City Beach,
That
and
place
those
is
are all
also
in the
good.
Gulf.
Yeah.
And this year, I couldn't make it. My family went on another trip this year. They're actually down there right now, but I
Oh.
have something else going on, so I can't go. But this time
trying
they
to
went to
burp
the
it?
Atlantic side. They went to Cape Canaveral.
I haven't been there.
Yeah, but you know,
My mom wants to go there.
I can't go this time. We have other plans.
I don't know my oceans. I know there's the Pacific Ocean and the Atlantis Ocean.
Pacific
and Atlantis.
Jake, you said that reminded
What?
me of the. You just said he burped. And I said I'm in the bathroom straight burping it, and by it I mean my.
Kagan was over here
penis.
just tapping his manhood, and I was like, "You trying to burp it? Or like, what's going on there?"
straight burping it.
Ethan, you want to talk any more about your vacation, or you?
I mean, that's nothing really.
I'm
big
ready to-
happened.
I'm
It's
ready to
What,
get
what was
started.
what was your favorite part of it?
honestly the pool at the Airbnb we stayed at.
That Airbnb
It
was nice, dude.
It was huge.
That was a nice
and it
place.
was, like
Did you send pictures?
Yeah, he showed me. I came over.
you came over, yeah.
Yeah, I came over, and he said, "This is where we're staying." I'm like, "Holy
Oh
fuck,
yeah, I
man.
showed him the booking.
Yeah, you know, they were at the Airbnb in Florida, and Jake
I can
came
actually
over.
show you.
And,
Yeah.
and, you know,
It was a nice vacation. I was there and everything.
yeah. I mean, you can't go on a vacation without the pro tag.
Right? I have to be everywhere. I hate that because I've been in every episode so far. I need to not be. I need to sit one out eventually, dude.
True.
Good lord. All right, Ethan.
Any other catch up? Anybody
I
else?
I think I'm good. I mean, as far as
good.
on my end, I think I'm good.
I'm good.
I'm good. I'm ready. I'm ready to get started.
Are you getting to the real meat and taters?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
Ethan, you're starting us off.
I am.
Yeah.
I didn't have a small one.
But you said that you can give us a little, you know,
The long and short of
a
it.
little. I don't know what word I'm trying to say, but a little thing.
I'm confused. I thought
Didn't you and
Kaden was
Adam?
gonna do.
Didn't you and Adam say that you had a couple that could be like a palate? You said palate cleanser, not
A palate wetter.
palate wetter. Yeah. So
I
an
don't
intro.
remember.
I mean, I have one that could work as a palate
Okay,
wetter.
I guess pick. I guess pick your least interesting one.
Nice voice crack, home slice.
I don't know.
I mean, all of mine I think are interesting.
I think all of ours will be interesting, but just in your opinion, like which one do you think would be a good starter?
Someone else go. Mine are like
Adam, I guess you go.
I have
All right,
I
Adam.
have a good one that'll work to kind of wet our palate.
Let's get into it.
Okay. So,
All right.
first things first. I typed up a Google Doc to kind of, you know, outline the simplicities of what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And so the one I'm going to start with, I gave the very apt title of Earth Black Hole.
Earth black hole.
Yes.
Earth black hole.
That's the title that I gave it.
Oh, did
So,
it not have like a
I
an official title?
It's basically just like the title of it would basically just be a description of
Oh,
what
okay,
it is.
okay.
So basically, around 10 years ago, you guys know what the Large Hadron Collider is, right?
Yes.
It's like a big circular scientific facility. It's like
Ooh.
27 miles long.
I'm gonna love this one.
And what they do is they basically they'll take like particles, like, you know, microscopic particles like
Yeah.
atoms and stuff like that, and they'll just start making them go really fast.
It's a
around-
particle accelerator.
Yes, it is a particle accelerator.
They smash
And
them into each
Yeah,
other.
they'll make them go really fast around this giant 27-mile loop, and then they'll smash them together just to see what happens.
Oh.
And it's like helped to really further some of our research in terms of science, in terms of like stuff like the Big Bang and how it would have worked and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So what happened was back in like, I believe it was 2012. What they did was they were running an experiment like that, and whenever they concluded the experiment, they discovered something called a Higgs boson particle, which was like it really made leaps and bounds to help to explain how the universe was formed in terms of like the Big Bang. And a lot of people would call it the God particle.
Yeah. That's
okay.
what I was gonna call
And
it.
the running theory or the conspiracy theory that people came up with was back in 2012, whenever that happened, in that split second, whenever that particle was created, it actually created a microscopic black hole. And whenever it did, the Earth was sucked into it and consumed instantly. But we don't know it yet.
So that's where we are now.
Yeah.
That's what the
And
theory
Earth
says.
ended in 2012, as like the Mayan calendar
Yeah,
said.
I was gonna say the Mayan calendar says the
That's
world
what people
was
are saying, is the world ended right then and there, and we just don't know it yet.
How does
So, like, how would that work if
Yeah.
even if we knew the world was still like?
See, the running theory is the way black holes work is they distort everything around them, whether
Wouldn't-
it be space or time.
Wouldn't we
Yeah.
become all spaghettified if we went in
that?
there?
I think that's just
Here's
a
the
theory.
thing about no, that really happens.
That really
But
happens.
here's the thing about black holes: once you're in one, you don't like consciously know it until you pass the event horizon. Or, I think that's how it works.
And what is that?
The event horizon is basically the point of no return.
Okay.
Like once you pass that event horizon, there's no chance of you getting out of it anymore. So basically, the running theory is we are being consumed by this black hole, or we have already been consumed by this black hole, one or the other. And black holes, they distort everything around them: space, time, everything. So time flows differently. So we're still experiencing time like quote unquote normal, but Einstein proved time is relative.
Yeah.
So around this black hole, time is different, and we've been consumed, but we just don't feel it yet. Because either we
That's weird, dude.
I don't like thinking about that.
I'm gonna have a panic attack.
it's like I don't know. I've never seen the movie. Oh fuck, what is it?
2012.
Interstellar.
Okay.
I was gonna say
I have seen 2012. Have y'all seen Interstellar?
Yeah. No.
I've never watched it, but I know at the end of the movie, is it Matthew McConaughey?
Yep.
Yeah. His character gets they basically make a ship that can make him go into a black hole, and he goes into the black hole, and time flows differently in there. So once he finally comes out of it, like I think his daughter is like an elderly woman, and whenever he left, his daughter was like fucking like 8 years old or something like that.
Yeah.
Like maybe a couple hours has passed for him, but like 80 years have passed outside the black hole.
Damn, Lightyear straight up stole the plot of Interstellar.
Yeah.
that's for real. Just the plot of Lightyear. He's like,
Yeah.
I can do it. I can get back. And every time he came back, he's like, why does everyone look older? And they're like, dumbass, you're going through time.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh fuck.
Which, everything we know about black hole is just theory.
Right.
Like, because there's no way that we could actually, realistically know anything for sure. This is all just mathematical theory that we have come up with.
So a question that just popped into my head is like, I don't know a lot about black holes, but if you made a miniature black hole, how would that work? I guess like if you had like a tiny black hole, would it just gradually suck everything into it, or would it be like an instantaneous thing?
That's not possible. He get too full.
You get too full. He had too much to eat.
You see, CERN, which is the European scientific organization in charge
Yeah.
of the collider, they basically made a statement saying that this particle, it's not physically, it just doesn't work. It's not feasible. And even if there was a microscopic black hole, it would have just disintegrated almost instantaneously.
It wouldn't be able to sustain itself or whatever.
Yeah, no, it would not be able to sustain itself.
Just kind of put.
I do remember hearing something about that. Is they're basically like, I stuffed in my water bottle. They're basically like, dude, relax. Fuck. It couldn't sustain itself for long enough to do anything.
Yeah. See, I love space and I love black holes. Black holes
Yeah.
are exceedingly interesting.
Space is cool.
Yes, but
I like spaghetti.
me too. Spaghetti, delicious. But yeah. Basically, I'm not sure. Mathematically, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
But also, it's very interesting to think about.
That
the
is
fact
interesting. I actually
that
haven't heard of
we're
that one.
doomed.
Right.
We're basically doomed.
We're already cooked.
Yeah, but we just don't know it.
Yeah. That's an interesting one. I haven't heard of that one before.
It's scary to think
It is-
about.
yeah, it is
It's
scary.
very scary. You're just
Kind of
like,
anxious
it's
right
only
now.
a matter of
sitting
time.
here,
So
yeah.
what we do doesn't
Just imagine,
matter.
like we're just sitting here doing stuff and living our lives like usual, and then out of nowhere, like,
Yeah.
no, literally, it would be like just instant, just bam, it's over. Like none of
At
us.
least it would
it's
be.
so
This
over.
is morbid, but at least it'd be instant.
True.
Yeah.
But what if it's instant? But like I said, time is relative, so it may seem like an instant, but in reality, it feels like thousands of years
Yeah.
of
Oh,
us
no.
just getting.
Yeah, it happens instantaneously, but we
Spaghetti
perceive
fud.
it as like just us slowly just getting just
Maybe that's what aging is.
true.
Just the long stretching spaghettifyingness of
Maybe-
a black pole.
Ethan's closer to
Black
death.
pole,
He's the
black
tallest
hole.
of us, so he's getting spaghettified faster than the rest of us.
Poor guy, he's gonna die.
They're not gonna get Kagan. I mean, he's a
I,
big
ain't
shit
go-
house.
I ain't going anywhere. I weigh too much.
If anything, you'll get shorter.
Black
you weigh
hole can't-
heavier than the black hole.
The black hole can't pull me apart. It's like, dog, I'm trying, but I ain't getting
Like-
nowhere. What are you made of?
It's that Audio Slave song.
America.
Black Hole Sun.
That's a good one, Adam.
Yeah.
That was pretty
Nice.
good.
It's a good opener. It's interesting, but it's also like not a lot, you know?
Yeah.
I was gonna say
Okay.
if we want a longer one, I can go.
You got one in mind?
Yeah,
Hell yeah, hell
I
yeah.
do. It's gonna be. I'm gonna read this one out so you can get basically a synopsis of what happened. So this one is the Dyatlov Pass. I don't know.
Okay. I've heard of it, but I don't know much about it.
So
I know a lot about this
essentially, 9 hikers are the ones that went missing, but there was 10 originally. The 10th one, he had medical issues that came up, so he turned around before they went and like any deeper to the point where they just couldn't turn around. But essentially, in February of 1959, 9 hikers named, and they're Russian, so these names are going to be a little scuffed when I say them. Alexander Kolvatov, Nikolov, Thibault, Brignol, Igor Dyatlov, who the incident was named after because he was like the lead guy.
Okay.
Ludmila Duboning, Rustam Slotobin, Semyon Zolotarov, Yuri. There's 2 Yuris. I'm not going to say the last names. And then there's Zenaida Kolmogorov. Their last names are long as shit. But essentially, those 9 hikers were killed while trekking in the Ural Mountains of Russia. The Soviet government, so their death is, they all died. And their deaths are so mysterious that the Soviet government ruled them as a compelling natural force because they don't
As
have
the
a
cause of death.
they don't have a clear-cut answer of what happened to them. So they're just like, something happened.
So-
a natural, compelling force.
Was this like a government group, or was it just a group of
It was just a
hikers?
group of very experienced hikers. They weren't novices by any means. Like, I think there's levels
Yeah.
in hiking, and they were like level 3, which I think is like the highest you can go.
Were
and
they
they
trying
were
to find something, or
just
like?
hiking
They
through
were
the
just
Ural
Okay,
Mountains.
just as a okay,
Just going
gotcha,
on a
gotcha,
hike.
Gotcha, gotcha.
Weren't their tents and like their bodies mutilated? to
Yeah,
the point
so
where they
I'm
couldn't-
gonna get to that. I have that all written down, but yes.
Sorry.
No, you're fine.
That's a pretty long one.
I know
Could
that
see it
you're
over there.
talking
We're
about.
curious.
But,
We're curious.
the Soviet government, like I said it was basically a compelling natural force because they don't know what happened. 10 hikers set out on this winter trek. One turned back several days before for medical reasons. The other 9 continued along their route. They had planned to send a message back to their sports club about 3 weeks after taking off. So when the club didn't hear from them on February 20th, a search party set out to find the hikers. Over the next couple of weeks, the search party found the first 5 of the hikers' bodies spread over the snow. They were in various states of dress and had bizarre injuries, with one appearing to have bitten off part of his own knuckle. I think that was just like I feel like he got so cold that he just bit down to see if he could still feel it.
and it broke like the toe and
In
Pirates of the Caribbean,
when
yeah.
the dude's rubbing his toe and it just snaps off and he goes and he tries to reattach. He's like, oh, oh. Yeah. So essentially, it's funny later on because, like you said, Ethan, when the searchers find their tent, and their tent has like a hole cut through it. It wasn't unzipped. There was a hole cut through it. So I think what happened was one of the tents caught on fire, and they just, instead of trying to find the zipper, they just cut that bitch open and ran out in what they had. Because, if you weren't out in the snow, I feel like they were warm enough in the tent that they just took off their heavy garments. But when that fire broke out, they all freaked out and just bolted and just made a mad dash and said, fuck it, we'll come back when everything subsides. And I guess that's when they died.
So I say, I know, because like you said, they're experienced hikers, so you'd think in a situation like that where they're under pressure, they'd be able to act with more reason. I've heard a theory in terms of like maybe whenever they were setting up their camp stove, you're supposed to set up a proper ventilation system so that your like gases that are from the burning fire can get out of the tent. But I heard a theory that maybe their camp stove had some kind of like crack in it or something, so some of those gases kind of filled up the tent and they were inhaling them without knowing it, which kind of clouded their judgment.
Is that kind of like a hallucinogen, or is it just kind of like a...
Like
it's kind of like
monoxide.
carbon monoxide.
Okay.
Like when you breathe it in, you don't know you're breathing it in, but it kills people all
It's
the time.
odorless. It's tasteless. It doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like it can cloud your judgment, and if you breathe it for too long, it will kill you. But, you know, like we said, a fire probably broke out, which is the running theory. And since their judgment was already clouded because they had been breathing in this gas, which is a theory, but it's one that makes sense because they're so experienced as to why they would make such a rash decision. That's why they just kind of cut open the tent and ran out into the snow without any of their gear, or without even trying to like control the fire or anything like that.
I have heard bits and pieces of this one, but I don't have the full story.
So months later, because there was, whenever they first found the 5 bodies, they were like, okay, where the other 4 at? And there was just a lot of snowfall at the time, so they were like, we're not going to find them with all this dense snow. So months later, after some of the snow melted, investigators discovered the remaining 4 bodies. They had even more inexplicable injuries. One had a fractured skull, another had a twisted neck, 2 were missing eyes, and one of the bodies with no eyes was also missing her tongue.
That could be explained as like wildlife.
Yeah, so
Birds or something.
I have heard of a theory, though.
the gruesome fate of the 9 hikers has generated theories ranging from natural disasters to secret weapon testing to an attack by Yetis.
That's what I was going to go
Although
for.
some theories are more plausible, the Dyatlov Pass incident remains a continuous and unsolved mystery. So, I did all my research. I found this one on history.com. And I was like, I feel like that's a pretty reputable source.
Yeah.
But it's a pretty well-known story. It's like, we all know what happened. The hikers died. It's just kind of...
How they died.
Yeah, how they died. And then some theories on death, I wrote this down, was some of their clothing was found with traces of radiation. So some people think that they accidentally stumbled into a experimental testing facility, like testing site for chemical weapons, because this was going around the time of the Cold War.
Oh, yeah.
So
It was
Russia
like-
was testing...
It was when the Cold War was at like its peak.
Yeah, so they were testing probably chemical weapons, and they probably stumbled into an area that was a contributing factor. Another theory, this one, I don't really consider it a theory because it's something that happens, but one was an avalanche. Another was paradoxical undressing, which essentially your body gets so fucked up by hypothermia that your body gaslights itself.
Yeah.
Into thinking that you're warm, so you start taking off
I've heard of that one.
your your clothes because you're like, damn, I'm getting hot even though it's like below freezing. And then one theory I heard a while ago is that the locals killed them.
My immediate thought was, like, how long were they up there? Does it say?
I think a couple. I mean, they set out on January 23rd.
Okay.
And they said they would they would send message to their group by February 20th. And when they didn't get that message on February 20th, that's when they sent the search party out.
So my mind
more
automatically
than a
goes
month.
to like,
Yeah, so they were gone more than a month.
my mind goes to like something happened within the group and one person kind of maybe went haywire.
So my theory, one that I had was that their tent caught fire, and in their panicked state, they cut the tent out and just ran with what they could get, and they'd circle back once the fire died down. And in doing so, they suffered hypothermia and started doing paradoxical undressing. But I think in that time frame, hysteria started to kick in, because some of the bodies were found with like baton marks. Like they'd been hit by like blunt objects.
Bruises and...
So one of the theories that I had was that after the paradoxical undressing started, hysteria set in and a fight broke out between them, which the screaming and the ruckus that they were making caused an avalanche, and that's why their bodies got swept away, because they were just found in the most random spots. And how their eyes and tongues were missing is, I think, wildlife might have gotten to those, because usually when a body is found, they go for the squishy bits first.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember like there were many different states that the bodies were found in. I know 2 of them were found at the bottom of a cliff face, just broken. All the pieces, like they tumbled off or were swept off by an avalanche, like you said. One person had tried to take shelter under a tree and start a small fire, but they failed to start a fire and they froze to death sitting under that tree.
Yeah.
And it was just, yeah. See, the thing about all these conspiracy theories that's so interesting is we know the end result. We know how things started and we know how they ended.
We just don't have the
know
in-between.
any of the in-between.
Right.
Of like what caused it. It's like, yeah, they died, but why? How? What killed them?
How?
Oh.
And that one's one of my favorite, because it's like, these weren't just like we've said, these weren't amateurs. These were people that knew what they were doing. So for it to happen to them, it's just so odd.
Yeah.
I'm going to do a little honorable mention here, but there's an incident very similar to the Dyatlov Pass that also takes place in Russia. I think it's called the Kamar-Daban incident.
Yes.
And essentially a group of experienced hikers were hiking. I don't know if it was in the same spot, but I think they stumbled upon a pocket of nerve gas, and one of the dudes went over there and he just started screaming like a madman, and then he just fell over and died. So one of the other dudes went to check on him, and the exact same thing happened to him. And
That's some like
I remember
smile
that one.
type shit.
Yeah, they were basically. I think they were also hiking in the Ural Mountains, but it was a different area and it was a different time of year. It wasn't like winter or anything. They were just hiking on a nice like spring or summer day, and it was another pretty large group of, like, I'd say ballpark around 8 hikers, and they were there. They were less experienced in terms of like 7 of them weren't like super experienced, and they had like an instructor who was in charge. I forget the lady's name, but she was very experienced. She was like 40 or 50, and she had done like so many hikes through the Ural Mountains. She knew them like the back of her hand. And like Kagan said, they were just hiking along and, enjoying their day, enjoying nature. And then out of nowhere, one of the less experienced hikers, just like they were just walking, he just screamed like in agony and then just fell over and died on the spot. And their instructor, obviously they don't know he died. They just thought he fell over like something.
hurt himself.
Yeah, hurt himself. And the instructor ran over to check on him. I was like, oh my God. And then she did the same thing, screamed and died on the spot. And then everyone started to panic. And as they were like trying to like run or figure shit out, like I remember all of them succumbed except for one. Only one of them got away. She was found by a group of like kayakers going down a river nearby. They were just kayaking along, and out of nowhere there was just a woman on the shore that was like waving and screaming for help. And see, these ones that happen in Russia are really interesting.
Yeah.
Because they were all the ones during the Cold War. It's like the Russians got up to some the Soviets got up to some wacky shit during the Cold War. And the thing is, like, if any of it was related to them, you don't know that. Like, they just basically be like, oh yeah, don't know what happened.
But
yeah,
that was
the running theory is that it was just like an area of wilderness that they used to test some kind of experimental nerve gas, and there were just still pockets of it that they would accidentally walk into.
That's scary though, because you wouldn't know.
Yeah, you didn't know. You wouldn't taste it. You wouldn't smell it. You would just
Feel it.
and die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, how you feeling today, John? A little violent.
What do you mean? And then you just
What do you mean?
fall over dead.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, I think that one's one of my favorite because it's just so weird. And
Dyatlov Pass.
it's so fucked up because the government was just like a natural compelling force
See, if anything,
is what killed them. And they're like, what does that mean?
I almost like Kamar-Daban better than Dyatlov Pass because, it's kind of tough because Dyatlov Pass, we don't know anything about what happened, because everybody died, so we're just kind of making speculations.
Well, everybody except the one who turned back, but he
True.
turned back.
But he
'cause of
turned back
medical
before
issues.
anything happened.
Yeah.
So with Kamar-Daban, you actually had a survivor that saw what happened, and even though they saw it, it's still like, what the fuck happened?
like they don't even know. They're like,
It's like,
"I
what
died."
happened, dog? They legit just fell over dead. I don't know.
They just screamed and died.
Yeah, there was no sound.
That must
they
be
just
That
died.
must be terrifying to witness too, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're just hiking with your bros, and one of them falls over dead after screaming like a lunatic. Scary.
Yeah, scary.
Big scare.
And it's even scarier for them because unlike the group from Dyatlov Pass, they weren't experienced hikers. They had one experienced instructor, and she was the second person to die.
And then
Like, well, what do we do now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that was Dyatlov Pass. That's all the information I had. That's pretty much all there is to the case is what I read.
Nothing new.
No, nothing has come out
cold
of it.
case, then.
That's it. Yeah. Just they died and they said something happened. We don't
Something
know what.
happened. I don't know, man.
Something happened that was
Oh.
not natural.
Part of me has an idea that the Russian government knows what happened. And like eventually, maybe one day they'll come out with some like declassified files that tell exactly what happened.
Yeah.
But yeah, that I don't know.
Another theory is that they trespassed and the Soviets found them and just beat them to death, and then just left them there.
Yeah,
And then
telling you, the Soviets, they got silly with it.
They got silly with it.
they got goofy with it. Okay, who wants to go next? Who's got one?
Ethan, you got one ready?
I got one.
Okay,
All right,
I'll go
let's
after,
hear this.
I'll go after
Lay
you.
it on
Let's
us.
hear this, baby.
What you got?
Skinwalker Ranch, previously
Ooh,
known as
yes!
Sherman Ranch, is a property of approximately 512 acres located southeast of Ballard, Utah.
Ooh,
It's
I've
often
heard-
plagued by paranormal and UFO-related activities. Its name is taken from the Skinwalker of Navajo legend concerning vengeful shamans. UFO reports in the Utah Basin were publicized. Hang on.
I have heard of this
Yeah.
one.
I like
it
Skinwalker
a lot,
Ranch.
Yeah.
This one's a really good one.
Yeah, it's a really good. It's one of my favorites.
I think I watched a Mr. Ballin video. of this one.
UFO reports in the Utah Basin were publicized in the 1970s. Claims about the ranch first appeared in 1996 in the Salt Lake City, Utah Deseret News, and later in the alternative weekly Las Vegas Mercury. As a series of articles by investigative journalist George Knapp, these early stories detailed the claims of a family that allegedly experienced inexplicable and frightening events after they purchased the occupied property. The ranch, located in West Utah County, bordering the... Some of these words are hard to pronounce. Uinta and Ouray Indian Reservation. I don't want to brutalize those
Just
words.
try and
but-
pronounce it best you can.
Yeah.
Yep.
Was properly dubbed the UFO Ranch due to its ostensible 50-year history of odd events said to have taken place there. According to Kelleher and Knapp, they saw or investigated evidence of close to 100 incidents that include vanishing, mutilated cattle, sightings of identified flying objects or orbs, large animals with piercing red eyes that they say were unscathed when struck by bullets or sharp objects, an invisible object emitting destructive magnetic fields. Among those involved a retired U.S. Army Colonel John B. Alexander. That to me, that sounds like an alias.
Yeah.
John B. Alexander. Okay,
Yeah.
Fed, whatever you say.
Who characterized the NIDSCI.
Anyone named John?
That
They're
sounds
an
like
op.
a secret covert organization effort as an attempt to get hard data using a standard scientific approach. However, the investigators admitted to difficulty obtaining evidence consistent with scientific publication. Cattle mutilations have been part of the folklore of the surrounding area for decades. When Robert Bigelow, founder of the National Institute for Discovery Science, purchased the ranch for $200,000 in 1996, this was reportedly the result of his having been convinced by the stories of mutilations that include tales of strange lights and unusual impressions made in grass and soil told by the family of former ranch owner Terry Sherman.
So what I'm hearing is like that's a double whammy right there. Aliens and skinwalkers, or the skinwalkers are the aliens and they have ships. Bro.
What
They've ascended to
scares me
space
are
travel.
the
That's scary.
magnetic orbs of like light and lightning.
What would scare me
remember
is if
those.
I was a fucking farm owner like that and I come out and a cow's mutilated, I'd be pissed. Cows are fucking expensive.
Yeah, I remember seeing YouTube videos of like recorded things, and you could see these orbs. They would shoot lightning out, and it looks like they were like moving portals. I don't know if it was real.
Is there
but
anything on your research that says what those might be?
I mean, you know the balls of lightning that go over train tracks and stuff like that.
Yes.
there's like some sort of like science, magnetic science behind it, right?
Yeah, I know that ball lightning is a thing. It's
Mm-hmm.
just exceedingly rare.
Yeah. So
So they're saying that's what that might be.
they're saying that
Okay.
there's it's possibly
Gotcha.
Yeah, that one just sounds like a.
See, I remember.
Just get rid of
a
it.
cluster.
Just get rid
Just
of it.
fucking bomb the place.
Just get rid of it.
napalm
I
that
don't have
shit.
I don't have I don't have a thought in my mind on what the explanation could that. Just fucking get rid of it.
Bomb them.
Torch that bitch
Remove
down.
this place.
That's already scary as shit though, because like skinwalkers on their own are terrifying. Dude,
I remember,
But a crossover with aliens, we're cooked.
nah.
I remember
Like,
there was a story
Crossover
about
episode.
the guy.
What is
who-
this, a crossover episode?
The family who had originally owned the ranch had moved in, and the family they bought it from was trying to get out like crazy, like in a haste.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember, the owner saw like this like dire wolf looking
I was about
thing.
to bring that up. Because
Yeah.
I remember something about a specific wolf.
Yeah, and
Oh.
it was interested in his cattle, or was it his sheep?
I think it was his cattle.
It's cattle, yeah, and it got a hold of one of the fawn's legs,
Mm-hmm.
and it wouldn't let go. And this dude shoots it, and you can see chunks of flesh flying off of it, and this wolf is unscathed.
Just
I
not
forget what they
unbothered.
did to.
I remember that
Like, you guys
he
hear
would
something?
see this wolf all the time
Yeah.
roaming
Quit
his
tickling me.
property, and it was huge. And
Yeah.
I think it was a black wolf. It was this large.
He
black
described it
wolf
as a big black dire wolf.
that was like bigger than any of the other wolves he had seen, and it seemed like whenever he would see it and it would see him, there was an air of intelligence in its eyes.
yeah,
Like,
like it
the
was
way it
like
looked at
human
him.
eyes almost.
Yeah.
Had a zipper then.
Yeah, the way it looked at him, it seemed like it was scheming, like it was over there rubbing its hands
It's like
together.
it's like, hey, I'm not gonna attack you, but I'm gonna take that little guy over there.
I'm leaving with something.
I'm leaving with something.
And yes, he would shoot it often. Never did anything.
Like I
to
think
it.
he had to go up to it with like his revolver and
I
shoot it
think
in the
he-
face to get it to.
I think he did that one time, and that was the only way he got it to fuck
How-
off.
how
was
many-
point blank with a revolver?
How many instances were there of this wolf?
I don't think they counted, but there was a lot.
Whenever I heard
They
about
shouldn't-
it,
they
I
shouldn't have
remember
named
there.
him.
I remember there being at least like 5 different instances that I heard about of him interacting with this creature, either just
Hmm.
seeing it or like shooting at it, or it trying to steal his cattle, and like or just kind of roaming the edge of his property, and you would
Yes.
see it just kind of stalking over there, like on the woods, like
So-
in the tree line.
So I guess we're just assuming that there's one of these skinwalkers. and
Unless
that
there's just
is, like-
multiple of them.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, I believe in the paranormal and like
Okay.
paracausal type shit.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking it's a skinwalker that took the form of a really ancient form of wolf, and has just kept that form for as
Yeah.
long as
That's
it
so
can.
strange
Because
because
dire wolves were a thing.
They
went
were like
extinct, but-
prehistoric wolves almost.
I don't know. You would think that. I would assume something like that has some form of intelligence, so you would think that it would take a less assuming form. You know, something that we wouldn't be like.
Yeah.
That's weird. You know,
That's not
But maybe
normal.
it's just
Yeah.
driven by animalistic
maybe,
desires.
maybe.
But like I said, it could have also taken that form and been like, "Wow, this form kicks ass."
Yeah.
these
Yeah,
things
ain't,
aren't
ain't
around
nobody
anymore.
gonna. Yeah,
So
ain't
if I
nobody
ditch
gonna mess
this
with this
form,
one.
how am I gonna
Right.
get it back?
Yeah. Ooh, that's true.
yeah.
It's maybe it's like the Ben 10 watch. He gets the no choose which one.
Yeah, fucking Omnitrix. Like,
Field mouse?
Yeah.
No. Cow? No.
Dire wolf.
Dire wolf. I like.
Dude,
the
you know how
sound of
fucked that would be? The guy shoots him in the head with a revolver, and then he just kind of turns back into a 10-year-old boy, and he's like, "Oh, this is a
Ow!
problem." Like,
You
uh-oh.
shot me.
he walks up to him and be like, "Quit trying to take my cattle." He just looks at him. Chaos.
Rage.
He goes, understandable. Have a nice day.
But no, I've heard a lot about Skinwalker Ranch. That's one of my favorites.
Yeah,
and
It's a good
Skinwalker
one.
Ranch is
I'm
my
not in
favorite.
the same boat where it's like I necessarily believe in the paranormal because I've never personally experienced anything like that.
I
But
have.
I like the idea. Like I like to imagine that it's real.
Yeah.
And
That's
Ethan.
me.
It's hard for me to not accept that there's more to life than just physicality.
That's where I am with it. Like, I believe that there's got to be
There's
something else.
something more to life than just this.
So what's your belief on the paranormal? Like, what's your experience?
I think
Ethan?
it's a higher realm.
okay. And you've said you've experienced it.
I haven't experienced the realm
well,
itself.
Well, no. Just like
Ethan out here
experienced
taking walks in the
paranormal
spirit
activity is what I mean. You said that you've experienced it. What do you mean by that?
Before my family moved into the house that we were in previously, there was this vibe. There was an old lady who had died in this house, but there was just this creepy dark vibe in this house that I would get all the time. Sometimes I would just wake up and expect to see someone standing over me, but there was never anyone there.
Hell no.
One time, my head was hanging off the side of my bed because I was snoozing hard, and I felt this hand like violently push my head up onto my bed. I woke up and there was no one there. Another time, there was this ticking that would go up and down the hallway, and it was always at night.
Dude, fucking.
My family never went into the attic of the house.
I don't know if there's any legitimacy to what I'm thinking. I haven't heard it from anywhere else before, but that is an interesting thought. Like what you described sounded like a hypnic jerk.
Kind of, yeah.
So, like,
I get those all
the thing that just popped into my head was like, what if a hypnic jerk is like somebody fucking, being violent with you in the
Taking
night,
with you
you
while
know?
you're sleeping.
I felt
Right.
like a hand violently
to the
pushed
other-
my
Right.
forehead.
to the other ghosts. Hey, check this out.
Yeah, just check this shit out. Yeah, boom. Ow. Right.
And
dude,
then he wakes up. Who the fuck did that? And they go, he had no idea we're here.
Like, this is going to be funny as fuck. Watch this.
My sister often described she felt like someone was watching her from outside her window.
See, the thing that freaks me out whenever it comes to paranormal stuff is when you have pets and like out of nowhere they'll just like randomly just like focus on one corner of the room.
Lock into a
Yeah,
specific
they'll just
spot.
lock in and just stare.
Yeah.
And you're like, hey, buddy. And
What are you looking at?
they'll like look at you and then like
Look
back.
They're like,
their
they're like,
hair
"You're not- did you not
stands
see
up or
this?"
something.
and you're like looking because you're like, there's got to be a fly up there or something.
Yeah.
There's just
That is
nothing.
freaky.
Lucky will do that sometimes. He'll be sitting in an area and then he'll just stare off and growl. And I'm like, the fuck are you growling at? Don't do that.
See,
What do you mean?
What do you mean? Don't do that. And I try to take a nap. You can't rest now. There are monsters nearby. What do you mean? What do you mean?
It's weird though, because like I don't not believe in the paranormal, but I've never experienced it on my own. Like I've been
Yeah.
to the Crescent Hotel in Eureka
Yeah.
Springs.
I
Stayed
wanna
there,
go.
stayed there even, and went on a tour and everything.
Aren't
it
there
felt fine.
specific rooms that are like hot
Yeah.
spots for
Yeah. I mean,
activity?
But also,
Boys.
it's like a fine line between like paranormal activity and gimmick for the hotel.
I was
So,
gonna say I would probably capitalize on the gimmick.
what you got? What you got?
Kagan already has it, but we need to all play Phasmophobia together.
Okay.
I would be down
Big
for
ghost
that.
hunters.
Ghost hunting game.
Yeah.
In VR.
You can play it in VR.
I want to do it in VR.
I'd play it in VR.
It's worse in
I want to do it in VR.
Then
mean,
again,
I've
you
got
do have
space
an
now,
advantage.
so-
You do have an advantage in VR because on the regular base game, you can only carry 3 items at a time: 1 in your hand and 2 in your storage. In VR, you can have 2 in your storage and 1 in each hand, so you can bring in 4 items. So they actually have an advantage.
Right.
But I can't do it in VR.
Can't do it.
And I can't
would-
do it by myself.
Kagan-
That game fucking freaks me out.
Kagan and I played the first
Forest.
forest game in VR,
It
and it's
kicks
scary.
ass.
It's
It
scary at
kicks ass.
first. It's really good, but especially if you're playing with a friend, your fear, is less
Yeah.
intense because you have a
Yeah.
buddy.
Like,
Yeah.
whenever
Dude, Phasmophobia, I can't play that by myself.
whenever you
know
go
what it
into
is? Do y'all know what it
caves
is?
Yeah.
Yes.
in the forest, and you'll just see like on the very edge of the light, you'll see like the figure of something.
Yeah, like kind of skitter.
It's
by.
even worse in VR because you'll be like, all right, what's that? And you'll see like a little leg move. You're like, what the fuck was that?
See, the worst part of like of the fucking of Phasmophobia for me
Yeah.
is like you'll just be sitting there and you'll like be trying to get evidence of this ghost to try
Yeah.
because you're trying to figure out what kind of ghost it is. That's the game. You have all these different pieces of equipment.
Because you can talk to it. And
Yeah, you have all these different pieces of equipment, and depending on what like the ghost responds to, like in terms of the equipment, you can narrow it down to what type of ghost it is, and that's the premise. You're trying to figure out what kind of ghost you're dealing with.
We're gonna take a little intermission because Kagan is shitting. So we're gonna hold off on the next theory until he gets
Yeah,
back.
we'll
So in the
just
meantime,
chit-chat.
we can talk about Phasmophobia. And I was gonna ask you about the Skinwalker Ranch. Did you have anything else to add to that? Do you have any other theories of your own for that one, Ethan?
I think it's just like just a really big hot spot of just the worst kind of paracausal shit you can imagine.
What is paracausal?
Paracausal is like shoot, how do I explain this?
Is it
Paranormal causes.
things that
that are
cause
par-
paranormal
yeah, yeah.
instances?
Yeah.
Okay,
It's
okay,
essentially
okay.
like things that exist that you don't know why exist.
Yeah.
Like you
Okay.
can't explain
In
it.
terms of like the orbs and ball lightning, my first thought was like maybe it's just like a super like electromagnetic hotspot for stuff
Yeah.
like that.
Well, which is weird because in a lot of, I know we're talking about like conspiracy theories and we're kind of diving more into paranormal shit, but
Yeah.
with a lot of paranormal instances, especially in photographs, you'll see like balls of light. Is that the same thing?
I
Is
would-
what you're talking about?
I would
or-
assume so, yeah.
because people, I think they assume that it's like a spirit in a little taking form, kind of.
I do remember.
I think they're portals.
I do
Yeah.
remember at one point there were very different things. One thing they would describe as the balls,
Yeah.
the testicles of the ranch, but the ball lightning or whatever, they would be floating around and they'd find scorch marks in the grass and stuff like
Yeah.
that. But then also I do remember a story of somebody seeing something that was more like a portal. It was more portal-esque than just like
Yeah.
lightning ball. It was like actually a portal. Like that's the way they described it.
I
was
remember
like-
someone describing they saw a portal open up and like this black spindly figure thing crawl out and then just disappear into the darkness of the ranch.
That's see,
I don't know if I believe that, but
that's the thing. Like, for almost any kind of evidence that's put on video, it's so easy to manipulate that kind of stuff. So
Especially
it's so hard to
nowadays.
tell
Dude.
what is real and what isn't.
Yeah.
So
if you like add a blurry effect to it,
Especially
or make it just appear old.
especially with paranormal stuff,
These
like
days-
you can easily stage a ghost. Like,
that's one thing that I've said in terms of like paranormal stuff. Like if you find like the older footage is so much more convincing.
It is, yeah,
These
'cause it's so
days,
much more
it's
grainy,
So
it's like-
easier,
Yeah.
so much easier to be able to fake that shit these days.
Yeah.
like just your average Joe could just fucking edit that stuff on a computer
Mm-hmm.
in his house just real quick and upload it on the internet for fucking 3 million views or whatever.
yeah, yes.
Have y'all seen the Kinect footage of apparently like ghosts?
Oh
that would
yeah,
appear and like the Kinect would like
Wait,
I forget. I don't know.
What
how
do
to
you mean,
describe it.
the
Ethan?
Xbox
Connect?
Connect.
The Xbox
Oh,
360
yes,
Kinect.
yes.
You know
I
how
have.
it would work? Like
Yes.
it would have all those.
It would have like
project
the
all those
figures
dots.
Right.
on
And
you or
It
whatever.
kind of looked like night vision or something.
Kinda, yeah.
Infrared kind of
Yeah,
shit.
and it would project a bunch of dots, and how it would track your body is, it'd see those dots moving with the figure
right.
of your
Yes,
body.
I've seen that.
Yeah,
It's
apparently
freaky.
those are great at catching ghosts.
There is
That's so crazy though, because like, what could that be? I'm
that
sorry,
is
Adam.
one of the
I
things.
interrupted you.
One of the like pieces of equipment you can use in Phasmophobia is something called a dots projector.
And it's a
you put it
Kinect?
on the wall, and
Yeah.
it projects a bunch of little dots, and you can only certain types of ghosts you'll see their figure move through the dots.
I love ghosts.
The scariest, you'll love this game. It's so fun.
Yeah,
The
okay.
scariest part of it, though, that I was gonna say earlier is like you'll just be chilling and you're trying to like get evidence of this ghost, and out of nowhere, like it'll be like in your ear, you'll just hear like a. Like, and every time
Goosebumps.
I'm just like okay, and I just
Oh,
leave,
right.
I just leave the room.
Dude, nope.
I would
not
love
me.
to actually go ghost hunting sometime.
Dude, we need like
I would like
I will
to.
gift both
Yeah.
of you that game, like if I have to.
Oh, like okay.
It's
I
all-
think Ethan was like, we
I
need
will-
to go. We
I
need to go
will-
to an
I
abandoned
would-
house.
I wouldn't mind a
Yeah.
real ghost hunt either,
Yeah.
but I
Right.
will give. I would gift both of you that game. It's only like $13, $14.
I'll buy it.
Yeah,
You do too much,
will
Adam.
love this
You do too
game.
much.
You will love it.
Do we want to do VR or PC?
I would love
I'm gonna
VR,
stick
dude.
with PC
Okay.
because it's scary enough for me on PC. You
Let's
can
start
play it-
on PC.
Like me and Cage have played it together with me on PC and him in VR.
Okay,
We can
okay.
Play it together.
I guess it's up to preference then.
Yeah, like I'm gonna stick with my PC because it spooks me enough on
Yeah.
PC just
I
alone.
definitely.
I
want
have
to
played
do,
it in VR and I was fucking pissing myself
Yeah.
the whole time.
I bet I would be too, dude. Even like the Five Nights at Freddy's game, the VR game,
Yeah.
it's scary, dude.
Help
Like the
Wanted.
first, I will always stand by. The first Five Nights at Freddy's game is fucking it's terrifying, dude.
Yeah,
I mean, it's terrifying. It's a very well crafted game, in my opinion. And I know, like, that might sound like
these
I
days
don't know,
it's such a meme
cheesy.
that
It
nobody
is such a
takes
meme, but the
seriously.
first one is scary.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
A lot of people unanimously liked the first one because
I
it
love
was
it.
just a new
I love it.
idea.
Yeah.
It was interesting.
I love it.
Yeah.
These days it's been meme to death.
I definitely want to do an episode about paranormal stuff.
Yes.
Probably in October or something, and we can talk more about paranormal cases and
Yeah.
experiences and that kind
Yes,
of
It's,
please.
dude, I
Yeah.
wish Arkansas had more paranormal hotspots.
thing. Which it's weird because we actually have quite a few.
We have a
like,
few, but it's nothing that's like like what people think about when they think of paranormal, like Amityville or
right.
stuff
Oh,
like
are you
that.
talking about like houses?
It doesn't have to be houses, just more interesting paranormal sites.
We've got
Just,
like the
we
railroad
have-
tracks.
We
We've
have
got
the Crescent Hotel
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
Eureka Springs. Then we have like the Gurdon Lights, which is the railroad
Right,
tracks down
right.
in Gurdon, where people just see those orbs floating along.
Do you remember we had someone come in school teach us about that?
Yeah,
Really?
Yeah, we did.
it happened to me. Yeah.
It was weird though, because
I
it
don't
was like
remember
so out of the blue. I don't even think it was October. They were just like, "Who
Who
ghosts?
are you?"
History? Yeah, who are you?" It was cool though. I enjoyed it. It was something like
I don't remember it.
you don't.
No.
I vaguely remember it.
I feel like
It's
I didn't,
weird.
I feel like I didn't pay any attention. If it was a thing, I
It was
just kinda
weird.
goofed off. And
Maybe it
didn't
was
pay
like a specific class.
I don't know.
I don't know. But I remember it. Very. Yeah, it was
like
weird.
I love the idea of the paranormal. And like I said, I haven't played it in a while, but Phasmophobia fucks.
Phasmophobia.
It's so fun.
I think my brother has played it, but he doesn't really talk
I
about
love
it.
it.
So.
I love it. You just get into a house with 4 friends and you're trying to fucking, like, it's so fun. Because, like, we would have, I don't think we'd use Discord while we were playing. Because there's, like, a proximity chat where, like, you talk and people close by can hear you.
Oh,
or it's
hell
like if
yeah.
someone's downstairs and you're upstairs, they can hear your voice, like,
So
muffled through the
if you
floor.
hear someone scream, it cuts
you'll like
off or
hear
whatever.
somebody scream and then it'll just cut out and you're like, oh, they're dead.
So it's
Well,
like
they're
Lethal
gone.
Company where
Yeah.
the proximity
You
chat is
have
like
2 modes. You have proximity chat for people close by, and then you have your walkie-talkie that you can talk to everybody through.
yeah.
And the ghost, how it works is the ghost you're dealing with can understand you.
Yeah. Oh my god.
It's like has AI, and you can talk to it, and like it can't recognize everything you say, but it can
Yeah.
recognize certain like words,
even
phrases.
still.
Hey, shit ass.
So like you'll get on the spirit box, which is how you talk
Move it
to
in
them.
a circle.
And not every ghost responds to it, but you'll be
Mm-hmm.
like, "Where are you?" And then like you'll hear a voice come through it being like, "Behind." Or
Oh,
like, how
shit.
old are you? Or how did you die? Killed. Like, and
Okay.
you can like try and get more activity out of it by pissing it off. And if you say it in the beginning, you'll have like a whiteboard being like the ghost. It'll tell you information like this is the ghost's name. It tends to respond to somebody who's alone. It's kind of shy, so it likes
Yeah.
you if you're alone. And if you say its name, it'll piss it off, and you'll get more activity out of it. So, like, you know, it'll be like in the beginning, the ghost's name is Deborah Myers, and you'll be like, Deborah, or Deborah Myers, and then you'll fucking, like, a fucking soap, like a bar of soap will get flung off of a table or something.
Does the ghost change every time you play? Is there like a pool of ghosts, or is it just one ghost?
It's a bunch of different kinds of ghosts.
Oh, okay,
And the whole premise of the game is you have all these different gadgets and doodads that you go into a house with, and certain ghosts will only, like, respond or interact with different types of gadgets. And so you get the evidence from each of these gadgets that you use, and once you have 3 pieces, you can get what type of ghost it is.
Oh, nice.
And different types are more dangerous. Like the Revenant is like one of the most dangerous ghosts in the game.
Yeah.
Because it's like super slow, but if it sees you, it moves like lightning speed towards you.
Hell no.
Shit.
Then so it's yeah.
I
They all
definitely
have
want to
different
try
effects. Like the Wraith can walk through walls. It's the only one that can do that. Yeah, it's a whole thing.
We'll see about it, man. All right, Kagan just got back. All you only missed. We were talking about paranormal shit. Adam was talking about Phasmophobia and how we should play it. How was your shit?
Uneventful.
Man, you were right. It is a shitty day.
It was just me ripping ass for like a
Whole
couple
ass.
minutes.
So this one is called Suki.
Suki.
I've never
Suki.
heard this one before.
Never heard of this one? It started in 2017, from what I gathered. And it's a theory that suggests that a cult was formed around a website called the Tsuki Project. It got the infamous name, the Anime Suicide Cult, though.
Oh shit.
I do know this one.
Yeah. So the theory goes
I've
that
never heard this one.
you haven't.
Yeah,
so-
I've heard this one.
The theory goes that if one is to join the Tsuki Project website, they will ascend from the system space, which is pretty much just like this life. It's just another
Matrix, I guess.
reference, something like that.
Oh, they're stupid.
And if they join, they will ascend from the system space to a new system or life after they die. But there's stipulations.
Interesting.
If you kill yourself or you die before a determined date, death date, pretty much, you won't ascend.
You have
So-
to pre-order your death. That's
Right.
kinda dumb.
Right. So, if you do either of those two things, you won't ascend. But if you don't, and you die on the predetermined day, supposedly you'll go to a cyberpunk nirvana. Now, I was reading about this
Oh,
theory.
so that's
This was
Phantom
from
Liberty.
this was from one of Wendigoon's videos. He spoke about it briefly, and I thought it was pretty interesting. But more interesting than that is that if you die, you'll move to another level of life. So you would keep doing this until you would eventually reach a heaven, you know? So each time you die, you go to
A higher plane.
a
of
higher
being.
plane of being, just, you know, step by step. You still have to live your whole life until you die, but once you do die, you ascend into a different life.
I would.
So it's a
enjoy
different
that.
it's a different kind of reincarnation is what I thought
That's what
about
I
it
say.
was.
That's like,
I'm not doing this shit again. I'm sorry.
But hey, it gets better and better as you go.
what I was gonna say is that's literally just Hinduism with extra steps.
Yeah.
Right.
You keep dying and reincarnating until eventually you reach a state of nirvana after
But
you've
the-
had enough reincarnations. and
The
have been
way that I
enlightened.
thought about it was you're just the same you're the same person in a different reality every time you die. So it was interesting to me.
So you essentially just get isekai'd until you get to
Yeah,
heaven.
kinda. And then
Yeah.
your life just gets just a little better
Each
time. So it's like it's probably not like
But how much of a percentage better does it get? Like 10%?
In the previous life, you
0.5%?
had ass warts. In this life, you don't.
you don't. That's the way it goes.
In this life, you have warts, just not on your ass.
In this life, you had a 5-inch penis. In this life, you have a 5.5-inch penis.
He's trying to get
hey,
in my ass.
progress.
trying to get in my ass.
This one was a shorter one, but it was one that I thought was interesting.
That one is very
It's
interesting.
Yeah.
it's crazy to me how fucking stupid and gullible and crazy people can go down into that belief system.
This thing was like it turned into a cult. People,
Yeah, that's
people
fucking
thought,
wild.
Yeah, people thought if I do this, if I subscribe to this website, I am going to have a better afterlife.
It just for me, it's
No.
it's more of like
It was a
the
scam, is what it was.
the shepherd and sheep mentality of like some people are just born to be followers.
Yeah.
And they literally can't think for themselves, so they need direction.
If
So
anything-
they're like, I can follow this, and maybe it'll give my life some structure. They're like, oh, kill yourself, and they're like, what?
okay.
They're like, what?
If
But
anything-
that's the thing. That's the thing. That's a stipulation. You can't. If you do, you won't ascend. That's the theory.
You gotta wait for you can't kill yourself before you pre-order it. Like you gotta.
You pre-order
Right,
it,
and I
then
couldn't
you get the
find-
date.
I couldn't find any information about the ascension date. So I guess that if you subscribe to this website, you will be given
They'll
you'll be,
DM
like
you a
emailed
date.
like DM'd a
Today's
day.
the day you die.
A death date.
Today's the
So
day. The sun's
and
shining.
I want you to think about that for a second. If you were given a death date and you bought into that whole conspiracy, that would make me personally very fucking paranoid. We were talking
Yeah.
about that in the Would You Rather episode where we
Yeah.
were saying, would you rather know that your
Yeah.
date of death
Or
you know,
how you're gonna
or
die.
how you're gonna die? You wouldn't know how you're gonna die, but you'd have a date. But that date's fictitious, you know.
It
So
could-
like,
wait, is it just like a month and a day and a year?
I'm
or-
assuming so. I'm
Just like
assuming
a
so.
birth date. It's like you're born this day, you're gonna die this day.
right?
It'd be awesome if you died.
And then
the
you
day
have
were
you know
born.
the opposite end of the
sad.
spectrum where a person that would subscribe to this theory would be like, I can't wait to die because I want to know what's on the other side, and that's fucked, man. You
Infinite
mess with
void.
people like that's
I was gonna say, if anything, it says more about the state that people are in these days.
Yep.
That they
Yeah.
look for something like that and want something like that because their life isn't good now and they want it to be better next time.
Mm-hmm.
Like
So this is a Japanese thing.
Suki is a Japanese word.
yes,
I assume it's TSUKI.
it is.
Suki.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's how it's spelled.
Yeah. See, at first I thought it was a cult surrounding like PewDiePie and Marzia's clothing brand, Suki. It's the same thing.
right. But I thought it was interesting. I'm really into cult stories and shit.
Yeah,
It's
there's-
interesting
there's
to
a
me.
lot
Oh,
of
yeah.
interesting
And just the
cults.
theory of just kind of putting reincarnation into a different light for me because I hadn't heard of it like that. That's like it was interesting to me.
Yeah.
To me, it's crazy that people are so desperate to believe in something that they'll literally be like, "Oh, I just watched this guy cut this woman's arm off with a chainsaw, but he's still cool, I guess."
Is that the
Anthill
Kids?
yeah. Anthill
That's one of the
Kids.
most messed up cults I've ever read about.
Yeah.
That was one of my shorter ones, but
I'm not into all the cultish stuff, so I have no idea about.
I think it's interesting to get into the mind of like the
Cultist.
person that found it's like, what makes you tick? Why would you do this? And then people that just blindly believe it's like, yeah, I just watched him hack this woman's arm off, but I still think he's doing the right thing. And then the
And
woman,
it's
the
just
woman that he hacked the arm off of, the woman he hacked the arm off of, she still believed in him and she still just stayed in the cult. Yeah.
so
It's
this
an
is-
interesting human psychology
that
study.
That's what I was about to say is like we prefaced at the beginning of the episode, we have some conspiracy theories that are like cases. We have some locations with theories, and we also have some thought experiments, and this is one of them. And that's honestly where my head was drawn towards was the thought experiments because they are interesting things to think about.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Something to think about.
Right, right.
Adam, do you want to give us another theory?
I can. Okay, so this one, very well known, very well researched and reputable, and honestly, most people accept this quote-unquote theory as just fact. So, the assassination of Martin Luther King Jr.
Fuck yeah. I like this one.
This one's a classic. I'd
So-
say this one's the poster boy of conspiracy theories.
It's one of them. I'd say the poster boy would be the JFK assassination,
Yeah.
but the Martin Luther King assassination is definitely up there. So,
I'd say the poster boy for conspiracy theories is aliens, like alien life.
well, in terms of just like the first thing people think of whenever they think of a conspiracy theory is usually the John F. Kennedy assassination.
That's what I think.
Because there's just so much contention and it's such a well-known event. You shouldn't throw things. It's not very nice.
My headset fell off.
So, in 1968, April of 1968. So on April 3rd, Martin Luther King went to Memphis, Tennessee for
Hell yeah.
just a civil rights, march and speech. And it is where he gave his last speech, the "I've been to the mountaintop" speech. He gave so many great speeches.
Yeah, he's a good speaker.
Everyone thinks of I Have a Dream, but like I've Been to the Mountaintop is another great. So he was in Memphis, Tennessee for that reason, and he had already given his speech and done a lot of the civil rights activism, and he was staying at the Lorraine Motel in Memphis. And at 6:05 p.m., he was leaving to go and have dinner with a fellow minister and like some other activists. And as he was leaving his hotel room, he was on the second floor and he was on the balcony. And a single shot was fired, and it struck him in the face, in the lower right side of his face, kind of in like the cheek area and his neck. And it was just one shot, but immediately like all of his friends rushed to his side, and they were trying to like figure out. And one of his like fellow activists and I guess quote unquote bodyguards like kind of pointed in the direction that the shot came from, which was a boarding house that was across the street. And man, this one just has so much. It's
It's all right. Take your time.
There's
Take your
so
time.
many
Take your time.
Yeah.
parts with this one.
So they rushed him to the hospital. He was rushed to St. Joseph's Hospital in Memphis, and he was pronounced dead an hour later at 7:05. So the wound proved fatal, and it was just one shot. Like, most of the time, assassins, they'll take multiple
They'll take
shots.
multiple pot shots out of him.
Yeah, but no, it was just one bullet, struck him in the face, killed him. He was pronounced dead an hour later. So the man who was captured and convicted, was a man named James Earl Ray. He was a known criminal. He was a gun runner. And he had been in prison, but he had recently escaped from prison and was on the run. And he was staying in a boarding house, in a room. It was a boarding house that was above a restaurant called Jim's Bar and Grill.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Jim's Barn Grill.
Yeah, and he was staying above it. And he was the one who was captured and convicted of the crime. And whenever he went to court, originally he pled guilty, specifically to avoid the death penalty. But he quite quickly changed his stance to not guilty. But unfortunately, it was too late. He had already pled guilty, and it prevented the case from going before a jury. And it was just a quick open and shut. And he received 99 years in prison.
Ooh,
Yeah, it was bad.
damn.
But right now, the running theory is that it was not James Earl Ray, because what happened was whenever they searched his room, they found a 30-06 rifle, like a Sportmaster hunting rifle, that had his fingerprints on it. And that was like one of the main points of evidence. But whenever they ran ballistic analysis on the bullet that struck King and the gun, they proved inconclusive.
They didn't match.
Not that they didn't match, that they were just the results were inconclusive.
Okay.
So
They didn't get an answer,
Yeah.
essentially.
And right now, the running theory is that it was the government, basically.
That's what I was
Specifically the FBI under J. Edgar Hoover.
Because at that time, segregation and whatnot was still a big thing.
J. Edgar Hoover he goes down in history as one of the worst people in history. People do not remember him fondly. He was the director of the FBI back in those days.
Yeah.
And the theory is that it was a conspiracy between the FBI, the Memphis Police Department, and even the mafia, the criminal underworld. They all conspired together to take out King. And there was so much history of the FBI trying to bring King down in other ways in terms of slander campaigns of him trying to paint him as a communist, because this was back during the days. It was a little bit after the Red Scare, but it was still kind of the Red Scare. People still didn't much care for communists. Red Scare was really a thing in the 50s, but it was kind of still alive in the 60s. They had run slander campaigns, and he had gotten multiple like letters, death threats that are suspected to have come from the FBI.
Didn't they say he was also like guilty of committing adultery?
Yeah, they painted him like a part of the slander campaigns wasn't just that he was a communist, it was also that he was like a ravenous sex fiend, just constantly just like having prostitutes in his hotel rooms and just getting freaky with it, even though he was like a minister. But
He was a chill guy.
one of the big things that I read was that the Memphis Police Department had actually been infiltrated by FBI agents. They had 5 paid informants within the force.
The FBI is notorious for that.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, Ray was the one who was put on the stand, convicted, imprisoned, open and shut case. And but even though he was in prison, he was still vehement that he was not the one who had shot King. And some of the evidence for that was like the room he was staying in, and it had one tiny window in like the upper left-hand corner of the room. And for him to make that shot, he would have had to get up there with his rifle. First off, he would have had to shoot it left-handed. And he would have to get up there and be in like this super awkward position where he's like stanced on top of furniture in this window.
I think it was a bathtub that they said he would have had to
They
stand
said
on.
he was like standing on a bathtub and like up in the corner shooting left-handed out this tiny little window.
Oh,
And
another thing about that is conveniently there was a tree in the way of where his room was, but conveniently the day he was shot, that tree was cut down.
Interesting.
yes.
Yeah, there was a tree in the way that would have blocked the shot, but conveniently the day he was shot, people reported at like 4 a.m. they were cutting down this tree.
Aw.
Yeah. And below that
Something
window,
smells fishy.
below that window, there were some bushes down on the ground. And people said that after the shot was fired, you know, there were some witnesses who said they saw somebody run, like get up out of that bush and run, like instantly.
They said I'm pretty sure they also said they saw smoke, like a gun had
they
just
saw
fired
smoke
coming out of
billowing
the...
up out of the bush, and somebody bolted. Nobody got a good look at him or anything like that. Another thing was that James Earl Ray, he, like I said, he was a known criminal and he was a gun runner, but he didn't really know much about guns and how they worked. So the rifle that he had, basically, he had gone into a gun store to purchase it, and the people there said that he didn't know what the fuck he was talking about in terms of like what he wanted. Like he was trying to describe this gun that he wanted and how it worked and stuff like that, and he didn't know.
Didn't know what he was
He
talking
didn't know
about.
the ins and out of this gun.
I think he either bought like the wrong scope or the wrong ammunition for it or something.
Yeah.
Like that just shows how little he knew about
Yeah,
guns.
like he ran guns, but he had never like personally dealt with them. And so at the end of the day, family and friends of King, including his wife and children, they didn't think Ray did it. Like they were of the government did this, and Ray caught the blame.
Didn't they try to bail him out of jail because of it?
They tried to get him out. Like King's youngest son, Dexter, even visited Ray in prison and had a long conversation with him, and even told him that the family of King, they believe he is innocent, and they will do whatever they can to seek justice for him.
So the theory is the government
The
painted
government
Ray
is the
as
one
the scapegoat
that killed King,
Okay.
Yeah.
and Ray was the scapegoat.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure one of the I don't remember his name, but one of the people they think did it was a former cop who was very good at marksmanship.
Yep.
Yeah.
They think that he would have been the man in the bush
And
because
that-
he's not affiliated with them
Yeah.
anymore, but he's still.
and that
useful.
comes back to the Joe's Bar and Grill, is that the owner of the Joe's Bar and Grill, I think a waitress or someone that worked at there recalled seeing a 30-06 Sportmaster underneath the counter that was being held there.
Yeah, like that was one of the theories. Was after he took the shot and ran away, he went through a side entrance into the grill, and the guy who owned the bar, I think he was like ex-military or something.
He might have been.
And
something.
like what happened was the dude would have went into the bar, passed the gun off to the bartender who hid it under the bar, and then he dipped.
Yeah, this theory is. I love this one, but there's a lot of parts.
There was like
to this
so
one.
many moving parts.
I was
like
thinking-
people all like in on it, and Ray's just. They also the reason they think that the criminal underworld is involved is because he had a handler called, I think he said his name was Raul.
Yeah,
And
it was something Hispanic.
Raul
with it.
is the one who told him to go to the store and get this specific gun and get this specific room and, wait there for the deal. And then all these events unfolded.
So you said it was a a boarding house
Yes.
across from? Okay, so was this a storied building?
Yes.
Okay, and the room that he shot from
Was on the second or
was
third
on the
floor.
second or third floor, and you're saying that.
Jim's Bar and Grill is the first floor.
So you're okay. So and the way that my mind worked this out was he took the shot and then he jumped out of the window into the bushes and then bolted. But that doesn't make sense.
No,
Yeah.
because
For
they
one,
said they
he's
saw,
up on the floors, and also the window is tiny.
Yeah.
but they also said they saw James Earl Ray leaving the front door of the building. Like
Okay.
there was another door from the boarding
Okay.
house that they saw that him leaving out of with a duffel bag in hand, and
Suspicious.
he got into, I think it was a Camaro or
It was
a
a
Corvette.
very, it was a very distinctive white car.
It was a very distinctive car, but they saw him drop the bag on the ground and get into the car. So it's just there's a lot.
There's
to this
so
one.
many moving parts to this one, but
And-
at the end of the day, like I said,
Yeah.
the running theory is that Ray was set up to
Oh.
take the fall from many different angles. The FBI, the police, even the owner of the bar underneath him, the mafia, like his handler Raul, like people. They just made sure that he was in the right place with the right evidence at the right time, and then did the thing, and he got the blame.
I was gonna say, didn't some people say it looked like the way he was shot? It looked like that came from an upward direction.
Yes.
Like
They think that it looked like it came from like underneath and kind of burrowed up into his
yeah,
head.
which doesn't make sense if he's on the
Yeah.
Yeah, if Ray was
unless he ricocheted that fucking shot off like a slab of
Ray
metal.
would have been either on equal footing with him because King was on the second floor balcony and Ray was on the second floor of the thing, or he would have been above if he was on the third floor. I can't remember if he was on the second or third floor. But
But if anyone knows how guns work, that's not how guns work.
Yeah, I feel oblivious because I have actually never heard of this one.
You have?
I know it's very.
like I said,
Popular,
Wendigoon has a standalone video just about.
It's
the
a
Martin Luther
fantastic
This is the one you
video.
were talking
Yes.
about.
It's a
Okay.
fantastic video. It's got audio from the day it happened. It's got like testaments from people that
Yeah.
were witnessing it. It's a very well done video.
And like I said, a lot of people accept this as what happened because, like, even
no
even
other-
Martin Luther King's family believed it. That
It just makes
Ray
too
was
much
innocent.
sense.
And unfortunately, before they could actually seek any kind of justice for Ray, he would pass away in prison with complications involving a hepatitis C infection. And after he died, he requested his ashes to be scattered in Ireland because he wanted his resting place to be outside of the United States after, quote, the way the government had treated him.
yeah.
Fair enough, man. Like,
They just because wasn't he also wasn't the smartest dude, so
No.
that's why they chose him because he was very
Ray was a very unintelligent man.
very unintelligent, very gullible. So they're like, he'd make a good scapegoat.
I hate that.
Yeah,
Poor guy.
That is the generally accepted idea of what happened.
that's what I believe. I thoroughly believe that
He was
it
set up.
wasn't
The FBI
yeah,
murdered.
that it wasn't set up. That was a setup because
'cause-
That's what it sounds like.
Like I said, J. Edgar Hoover had been gunning for King for a long time. Like it was to the point where he had convinced President Kennedy that he was a communist, and Kennedy, in response, authorized them to put wiretaps in a lot of his hotel rooms. Like President Kennedy himself authorized the FBI to put wiretaps in Martin Luther King's
I
hotel
imagine
rooms
it's just
because
like-
J. Edgar Hoover had told him that he was a known communist.
I imagine it's just like JFK's in his office just filling out some paperwork and Edgar Hoover comes in and is like, JFK, please let me do this. And he's like, dog, you've been bothering me with this for
fine.
months. Fine, just go
off.
just go wiretap his room. I'm getting head under the desk by Jackie. Leave me alone, dog.
I hope not.
Yeah. It's like he probably just said it so he's like, if
Getting
I let
ahead.
you he's like, if I let you do this, will you leave me alone? And he's like, yeah. He's like, then go fucking do it. I don't care.
That is
Leave me
very
alone.
grating on my soul. Adam, that is not the theory that I thought you were going to talk about. Theory that I was thinking that you had was the monoliths theories that Wendigoon talks about. He has a standalone video
I
about
don't know
giants.
what that one is.
It's about giants.
I do.
Oh, like
pretty
the
cool.
Nephilim and stuff.
Yeah, something like that. I thought
Are you talking
that's
about
Statue
the
of
giant stone
Liberty
statues?
is-
That
like
one,
heads
yes.
and
Like
stuff,
alive
like
or
the Easter
whatever.
Island heads.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know that one.
I do know of that one.
I would like to talk about that one eventually, but
Is that the one where he's talking about people feeding people to the Statue of Liberty?
I think so.
No,
Yes.
that's something
no,
else.
oh, I know what you're talking about though,
That
Kagan.
one is the monument mythos. And
Oh,
that's like
That is what I
alternate
was
universe.
talking about. The monument mythos. I
He's
just
like-
couldn't think of the
not-
name.
That's not a conspiracy theory.
Is it not?
That's
Okay,
an
okay.
That's like an ARG of an alternate
Okay,
universe.
okay.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah,
and I got my stories
because
mixed.
when you
My
said
bad.
that, I was like, I don't think that. I think that was like just a
But
standoff
I
story.
thought there
someone
were
wrote.
giant theories.
The one you're talking about with the monoliths and the
Yeah.
different like giant statues of like heads and people around the world like being real
Yeah.
giants, that one's real. That's not
Okay.
the monument mythos is something else, but the thing you're thinking of is
I
real.
got them confused, so that is
Yeah.
entirely on me.
They
My
do kind of
fault.
tie together
Yeah.
with the whole
Yes.
statues being real things.
Yes, but I'm almost positive that there are giant theories about giants.
There
I
are.
know there are.
There are.
But I
Yeah.
thought that was
Definitely.
one. I thought that was.
I was
Definitely.
gonna say, can we do one more? Because I really want to do this one. Because my second one is the Black Dahlia murder.
Oh,
I
that
haven't
one's a
heard of
classic.
that one.
You haven't heard of
I
this
have
one?
heard of Black Dahlia.
This one's I really like this one.
I have heard of the Black Dahlia.
Essentially,
I have
on the morning of January 15th, 1947, a mother was taking her child for a walk in Los Angeles neighborhood, stumbled upon a gruesome sight. The body of a young naked woman sliced clean in half at the waist was what she discovered. The body was just a few feet from the sidewalk and posed in such a way that the mother reportedly thought it was a mannequin at first glance. Despite the extensive mutilation and cuts on the body, there wasn't a drop of blood at the scene, indicating that the young woman had been killed elsewhere. The ensuing investigation was led by L.A. Police Department. The FBI was asked for help, and it quickly identified the body in like 56 minutes. In fact, after basically what it was later found out that the woman was named Elizabeth Short. Mm-hmm. And I think one of the main things is she was later dubbed the Black Dahlia by the press and rumored penchant for sheer black clothing and the Blue Dahlia movie that came out, because she was known for wearing quite black clothing. Essentially, I think it involves the mafia, and she wanted to be an aspiring actor, and in doing so, she made a lot of enemies with the criminal underworld.
I forget what year did this happen again. I know it's a pretty old one.
It took place in 1947.
Yep.
So yeah, there was a lot going on, and they I think it was recently they figured out who she was, but they didn't know who she was at first. That's why it became the Black Dahlia murders.
The Black Dahlia is like one of the original like murders that a lot of people like turned into a big conspiracy theory that a lot of people quote as like, you know, it's a really interesting one. It is. I forget. There's like a movie or something that it inspired.
Yeah. But that's all I got for that one. It's pretty cut and dry.
It is pretty cut and dry in terms of like, but it's like she was murdered in this horribly gruesome way. But there's not any blood at the scene, like literally cut in half on the sidewalk.
I was gonna say
some like alien murder.
I was gonna
type
say
shit.
the rumor that it was the mafia and stuff was speculation. They don't have proof, but she was a Hollywood hopeful. She was someone that she was like, I'm moving to LA to get my start and become an actress.
No, you ain't.
And they think what happened was that she made some ties with some really bad people.
Yeah.
And once she gained a little bit of infamy, she didn't keep her into the deal, so they fucking got rid of her.
Yeah, it's. Thinking of that one just makes me think a lot of the Jack the Ripper murders. I don't know if any of us are going to cover the Jack the Ripper murders, but
No, but that's a good case too.
yeah, it
I'm
makes me
Jack
think of Jack the Ripper.
Yeah. I was going to continue with it, but the rest of my information is just a bunch of, like I said, it's just a bunch of information about her life. Like, that's not really important to the main case of what happened.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I thought that one was interesting. And then my last one is my favorite because it's also just such a weird case.
Like I said, the Black Dahlia is like, it is a very well-known conspiracy theory. A lot of people talk about the Black Dahlia murder and just like the implications it had and how it was just so gruesome and brutal, and yet there wasn't really much mess at the crime scene.
Yeah, which I don't understand how you do that. Cut someone clean in half and there's just...
Yeah, because it's like they would have had to do it, and then like she would have had to lost almost all of her blood like after the murder, and then they placed the body on a sidewalk.
Unless
somewhere.
they just hollowed her out.
That's
Yeah.
what I'm thinking. Is after it was done, they were just kind of like,
Did they ever find her legs?
yeah.
It didn't say. It just said she was cut clean in half close to the sidewalk, posed in a way that made it look like she was a mannequin. But it doesn't really say if her legs were there with her. I think they were. I mean, but it's just like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody skipped leg day.
Twisted.
What? Somebody skipped
Somebody
leg day.
skipped leg day. All right. Well, that puts us at the halfway point. That
Yeah.
is 6 conspiracy theories.
Yeah.
With 6 more in part 2.
Yes.
Jake, did you have a little?
Honorable mention or anything?
No, that's not what I'm talking about.
Start with what? Did I?
Your adventure yesterday
Yeah.
in your review.
To be determined.
Well, dear listeners.
What are y'all talking about?
You're about to
I
find
will
out.
regale you. After so many horrific stories, I will regale you of a lighthearted tale.
Oh boy.
So yesterday, we went to a magical place called Adam and Eve. You might have heard of it. Yeah. And we were there for like 30 minutes to an hour. I don't know. I lost track of time because there's so much to look at in there, you know? And we were talking, chit-chatting, you know, and long story short, I was encouraged to buy a plastic asshole.
You mean, listen, it was a double-ended fleshlight. One side had a vagina and the other
right,
side had an
I'm
anus.
not giving it enough credit. It was double-sided, okay?
I thought about getting it, but I didn't have the money.
But hey, needless to say, both sides were gripping. Okay, so I went home that night. Like, as I had been hanging out with them like all day, and as soon as we got home, I was like
itching to try.
I was like,
it.
I was like looking for holes. I was like, dude,
It's like
because Kayla had gotten these fucking jar cups from Price Break, that liquidation store, and I was looking at the top, the little caps, and they had the holes for the straws, and the holes were silicone, and I was like, I have to go home. I'm
need to
gonna
go home.
Jake was getting antsy. He'd be walking around pacing. We're like, "What's wrong, Jake?" And he'd just say, "I have a thing."
What do you
I
think
got
is
a thing to
wrong?
do.
I got a thing to do.
Yeah, I've got this thing specifically.
I gotta go see about it.
Right. So
thing.
I went home, and it took me a minute, but I used it.
Oh.
Yeah. And here's my formal review.
Oh boy.
Did you beat your shit crazy style?
I spanked my shit silly. Okay. So I will say, I'll start with the downsides. I already had one previously, but it wasn't like nearly as detailed, but it was still silicone, you know, it's still that, you know, fake flesh.
Yeah.
Fake
flesh.
It's called Fanta flesh.
It's a
Fanta
silicone
flesh.
sleeve to burp your cock. I mean,
to burp your cock. It's all right, buddy. I'll get it out. but
he's
but-
choking.
help him!
help him.
Jesus Christ, help him! So, like I said, it's you know, party in the front, party in the back. It's got business on both sides. You know, I did try both. One was better than the other. Needless to say, it was gripping. Okay, that's all I gotta say.
Which side was better?
The booty.
Yeah.
The booty.
Was it
Faux show.
Was it gripping hard?
It was
Breaking
gripping.
news.
And might I say, on the package, when you look on the back, it shows you the inside, and it looked like an ant farm.
Oh, yeah.
It looked like a fucking cave system. Which
Joe
it
Biden
was.
just dropped out of the race.
Love you, bye.
Neat.
Alrighty, guys.
I will say, hang on.
What? Yep.
While we were in Adam and Eve, okay, there
Yes.
was a certain item there, okay?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there was a certain item there. And Ethan, I am once again asking for your financial support. It was basically the lower part of a female from like the mid thigh up to like the waist, and it was $600.
$600.
Yeah, and it was the
Is
all
it
the,
just
it was
a
all the
sex
bits.
doll?
It was it was just from here to here.
It was the sex
Mid-thigh
lower.
to like waist, and it was $600. So if we each throw down 150 plus tax,
Tags.
We can share it.
we could
We
share.
can
it.
share it. No, that's not happening.
Jake just said, "I have a thing."
We also found one called the Cyclone that had 3 holes in it, and we had to start having our podcast meeting with each of us. You get to sit on the side and watch. But me, Kagan, and Jake
I
are
will
gonna
not
have
be a
one
cuck.
in each hole,
Not be a cut.
I will be involved.
and we wait in the middle for like a nice fleshy fist bump.
What? Fleshy fist bump. What did you say, Adam? You were like there was like a, I forget, like a bean flicker 3000 or whatever. What did you say?
Oh no, it was the clit sucker.
Oh, yeah.
It was a dildo that
Yeah.
had the part for the clitoris, that but it had like a little hole, and it would suction, and it would suck onto the the
was
clitoris.
pulsating.
Yeah.
And I said, "Oh yeah, did you see the Clit Sucker 3000 over there?" And Jake just looks at me and goes, "I have a name right here."
I have a name.
Okay, we had a good time in there. We had a good time.
It was a good time. Me
It
and
was
Adam
fun.
bought
Damn,
dick,
now I wish I went.
me and Adam bought dick suckers.
Yeah, they were like dick lollipops. They were huge.
I saw those photos.
They were huge.
Yeah, they were called cum pops.
They were pretty good. Not
Were
gonna
they
lie.
cream filled?
No.
Sadly.
One
See,
was
that
milk
would've been
chocolate,
great.
and the other one was dark chocolate, and we each got one, and we were going crazy on them the whole time.
We have pictures.
Yeah. Kagan got home later, and he was done with his, so he gave it one last lick, and then just yeeted it up in the air and let it explode on the asphalt.
Shattered into 1,000 pieces. Although
I
Alston
caused the
found a ball
shattering.
piece. There's one piece that was like a testicle.
Yes.
And then he put it behind Kayla's tire, and he was like,
Jake,
back up.
One piece. Can we get much higher?
Jake. I caused the shattering.
Shattering.
The events of Elden Ring. I caused the shattering.
The Erd tree is just a dick. Convince me otherwise.
Like we
That's
said,
a theory.
We have a lot of conspiracy theories to talk about. That was part one. We got through the first half, the first six.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie, they had us in the first half. But
I'm excited, man. I'm
yeah.
excited to see what else we got
we're,
left.
we're gonna cut it here,
Yeah.
and we will have part two in what, 2 weeks?
2 weeks, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, 2 weeks.
yeah, 6 more awesome conspiracy theories.
Hell yeah.
Alrighty.
We'll plug our shit. Well, yeah, we'll plug our shit now, I guess. We have to in everyone. All right. All right.
Yeah.
I guess I'll do it then.
All right, I got it. So hear us out.
Adam's
all
the
right?
plug.
You
Yeah.
can listen to us on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcast. We are on all those platforms, and you can find every episode on them. And if you want our socials, we make posts on Instagram, X, Twitter, and TikTok. We also have a TikTok.
Yeah.
TikTok. Lots of tick.
And I don't want to speak too soon, but Kagan and I are cooking something that has to do with video. So
Ethan, we're cooked.
Yeah.
Ethan's gonna be cooked because he's gonna be editing.
I'm gonna be fucking fried. Holy shit.
Anyways, see you in the next one.
I reckon.
Bye-bye.
See ya.